Hello, everyone. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, the tennis betting podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. I'm Nigel Seeley, and I'm looking ahead to hopefully three ATP Tour tournaments this week in the company of our senior handicapper for Because We Win. It's Sean Calvert. Now, Sean, we have three tournaments planned: an ATP Tour 500 event in Hamburg in Germany, a tournament that we're supposed to be in attendance at, and we have two ATP Tour 250 events in Croatia and Atlanta in stateside. Let's start off with the Hamburg tournament before we come on. Are you okay? A good week? Everything all right? Nice and chilled, or still a bit stressed out?
Nice and chilled. Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that. I just been at a basketball tournament today with Lagan in Basildon.
Oh,
so that's
the hotbed of international basketball. The NBA.
Honestly, I don't think the NBA will have any scouts there. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay.
There was just a load of kids causing absolute chaos. Obviously, it's the school holidays now as well. So, yeah. No, not relaxed at all, but never mind. We're supposed to be going to Hamburg, aren't we, in a few days?
Well, hopefully.
Maybe that'll be.
How did they get on at the basketball tournament before we go into Hamburg?
They didn't win. They won a couple of matches, but they didn't win the tournament outright. That was won by Rayleigh. So, for the second consecutive year, incidentally. So, yeah.
Oh,
good news.
Got the
for
biggest
kids,
the biggest kids. Tall.
I think they were just the best. Lagan's only just started playing basketball, so it's a new one. He's more of a football guy, but he likes to dabble in other sports as well, as rugby, basketball, whatever he can get his hands on.
Well, we got all the information here of the Rayleigh Basketball League. We've got a new show starting next week, the Rayleigh Basketball Handicapping Show, with Sean Calvert and Lagan giving you the best bets on the local basketball league over there. Let's move on to the tennis this week, and obviously we sort of touching on about it there. We're both supposed to be setting off to Hamburg for the clay court event, the European Open. I'm going off tomorrow morning, first out of school holiday, dreading the thought of getting to the airport tomorrow in London, heading across to Hamburg, and I'm also dreading what awaits me when I arrive in Germany. The weather forecast all week is absolutely dreadful. This is an ATP Tour event and a WTA event. They've only got one court with a roof. They've got to get through a lot of tennis, and the weather all week is awful. There's no odds available yet with Bet Rivers, and no odds available, I don't expect, probably until tomorrow morning if we're lucky. We have some match bets, but before we do that, it's a real difficult one to even talk about what we're going to plan, how we're going to look at the court conditions. We don't know because the weather's just not on our side tomorrow, is it? Or all week.
Well, if the weather forecast is correct, and it often isn't, it said there was going to be 60 millimeters of rain in Gstaad last week. I don't think there was 6 or even 0.6, so they got that wrong. But it doesn't look like the same sort of forecast, does it? That was thunderstorms, and they can sort of miss the area. This is just a big green cloud of rain, isn't it? Which is settled in over the sort of Hamburg area and over a lot of Europe, actually, Northern Europe anyway. And it's more sort of in the north of Germany, isn't it? Hamburg. But it's very difficult to talk about because you've got an ATP event and a WTA event, as you said. The ATP 500 is quite a lot of matches, big draw. They've only got the one court of the Rothenbaum that has a roof. At the time that we're talking, they still haven't even finished the final round of qualifying. Those matches were all scheduled for today on an outside court because they were doing the women's matches on the centre court, which does have a roof. So if we're saying it's going to rain all week, where we're saying that there's an entire ATP 500 and WTA slightly lower level 250, if you want to call it that, tournament to be played, and we've only got one court, I mean, how are they going to do it? We could be in a situation where they have to play several matches in one day. They might even, if this rain just doesn't let up at all, they might move some matches to an indoor facility, which I'm not sure whether they even have. If they do that makes it an entirely different tournament, doesn't it? Because if we're looking at Hamburg, it's not normally the slowest of clay court tournaments. It's normally a little bit livelier than places like Umag. But the stats put it roughly the same sort of pace as Munich. So perhaps slightly quicker. If you're now looking at players that would go well in those sort of conditions and they move it indoors, that's just a complete waste of everybody's time, isn't it? It completely changes the pattern and the look and the feel of the tournament from an outdoor sort of medium-paced outdoor clay tournament to an indoor hard tournament. So there's no lines up yet because qualifying hasn't finished. So it's a difficult one for us to really kind of talk about at the minute.
Yeah, really hard. I mean, we can't have a bet. We can't really predict the bet or predict any angles until we know exactly what the conditions are there. If you look at the break, let's have a look at the players in attendance, if they are going to attend them, and some of them might not even decide to turn up.
There's a couple out already.
Sorry?
Hasn't there? Bruce have always pulled out already, and so has Van der Zandskog. So that's 2 out. There may be several more.
I think there could be. And if the number 1 seed, Casper Ruud, is he's just come back. He's just lost the tournament final in Bastard, 7-6 love in the final sets against Andrei Rublev. So I'm not kind of sure if he's going to fancy going to Hamburg with all the rain. The number 2 seed is that man who beat him, Rublev. We also have Musetti, who won this tournament for us last year at a massive 80-1. You will not be getting an 80-1 about Musetti this time around. No. Zverev, leading the home hopes, the German, he's in the tournament. Kekmanovic is the number 8 seed in the top half. Davidovich, Fokina, Echeverry, and we have Francesco Cerundolo. So it's really, really hard to have a bet here. It's really, really hard to give any kind of betting indication on what we should do because of we don't know what the tournament condition is going to be like. As I say, there's only one tournament with the roofs, but now it's going to be playing on the clay there, but it's going to be indoors of the clay. I'm coming out there tomorrow, so I'll give you an update when I get there of the weather and the conditions. I'll also be there on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm actually at the tennis on Tuesday and Wednesday. And Sean will take over from me on Wednesday. So we'll see what happens. But at the moment, unfortunately, we can't really break it down. We can give you the stuff which you can follow on our Twitter account, on our Instagram account at Because We Win. We'll give you updates when we get there. But as of now, it's not looking good for anyone betting at Hamburg, and it's not very good for us to break down this tournament. However, saying all that, there is one match that's caught your attention, Sean. It's the match between Richard Gasquet, the Tour veteran. I read somewhere, I think he's one match away from 600 ATP Tour wins. I think that's what he needs. I think
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's very close to making history. He's up against Daniel Altmaier, who is the local. Well, he's not local. He's a German at home. He's -$2 favorite against Richard Gasquet. Richard Gasquet is +163. And the head-to-head here was very good for the Frenchman. He is a veteran. We have touched about this before, about the age. I know someone who's watching this show regularly always sends me data and talks about someone whose age against a younger opponent. He always wants to be with the younger opponent when they come to the twilight of their career. But you're bucking that trend, Sean, and going with Richard Gasquet to get something from this match. Give us the reasoning for your thinking on that match.
It didn't work with Roger Federer, did it? When he was 39, 40, still winning Grand Slams. He had a.
He's Roger Federer. He is Roger Federer. To be fair,
he is Roger Federer, but you could argue Gasquet similarly talented. He's all the ability in the world. Gasquet, certainly not the mental strength. That's something that's held him back throughout his career, no doubt. But I just think this is I just looked at this price and I thought I can't have that. Altmaier is a very erratic performer at the best of times. His record in Hamburg is about as bad as it could be. 0-4 in Hamburg, and his service points won, return points won total in those 4 matches is 88. So it doesn't really get much worse than that. So he's obviously not performed here, whether that's nerves or whatever. Gasquet, incidentally, is 3-3 and 100. 3 wins, 3 losses, and 100 service points won, return points won total. That's since it's been a 500. It was a Masters series years ago, wasn't it? I think he got to the final here in 2005 when it was a Masters, Gasquet. Anyway, the head-to-head 2-0 to Gasquet, both on clay. Service points won, return points won totals. 104-96 to Gasquet, so pretty big advantage. And Gasquet's created a huge 1.14 breakpoint chances every Altmaier service game. But he only took 25% of them. He only took 1 in 4 of those breakpoint chances. Had he taken a few more, as you would probably expect him to, it would have been an even heavier defeat for Altmaier. I mean, I think this price is about the fact that Gasquet has struggled recently on the clay. He said he prefers quicker surfaces, but that said, he didn't do particularly well on grass either. He has been playing on clay within the last sort of few weeks. He got to the final in San Benedetto on the clay a couple of weeks ago. A lot of sort of long and tough matches there. Then he played Hopman Cup where he beat Holger Rune, which sounds great on paper, doesn't it? But Rune wasn't well at all. I don't know why he was even playing that, Holger Rune. But Gasquet's not gonna care about that. He's just beating Holger Rune on clay. He's going to be happy now. He's trotting off to Hamburg, and he's facing a guy he's beaten. Well, he's beaten him both times. Not massively comfortably beating him, but certainly from those stats that I just pointed to, it's been a reasonably solid 2-0 series to Gasquet. I think Altmaier's perhaps a bit better off at altitude where the ball bounces up a bit higher. Not sure he's particularly great at sort of sea level events. As I say, his Hamburg record is terrible. Slight worry about Gasquet in terms of his legs, but I've taken minus 143, 1.7 about Gasquet winning a set. So Gasquet plus 1.5 sets. I can't see Altmaier winning this in straight sets. I'm not sure he's going to win it at all, Altmaier, but if he wins it 2-0, I'll be pretty surprised. I've taken a slightly circumspect bet there with Gasquet.
Is there anything about the weather and the conditions that worry you? But I think if it goes indoors, or it probably suits,
it will
Gasquet
be indoors.
more, won't it?
Yeah, it will be indoors. So it won't be damp conditions because the roof. I imagine that roof is staying on.
No, but I was thinking if it wasn't on centre court, it would go indoors into an indoor, probably hard court. That would probably suit Gasquet more, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, we really are just guessing what's going to happen in that case. But I think this will be on the centre court because he's German. I think they tend to put the German players on the centre court if they can. If it goes outdoors, we're then in a situation where it might be raining, but it might not be raining enough for them to call it off. In which case, this bet would perhaps worry me a little bit. Let's say if it's on the centre court, I'm certainly very happy to take that on. Certainly, if it moves indoors, I'll be very happy to take that on. The only situation where I wouldn't be happy to take it on is if they were playing on a really damp court in the rain. Then I would perhaps be 50-50. But I'm not sure Out might be good in those conditions either, though, to be honest. Low bounce. He doesn't like that. So happy to take that wager.
Yeah. So you can head to the BetRivers website. There's 29 different bets available on this match. It will be played. It will be played under the roof if it's on centre court, but hopefully on the outside courts. So they may have to move indoors. If it goes indoor hard, that will suit Gasquet even more. We don't even know if they've got indoor hard courts here. They might have to play down the road. Where was the tournament you were at when they had to move it? It was in Napoli, wasn't it?
That was in Napoli. Yeah, that wasn't because of, well, it was sort of because of the rain. It's because the court surface that they'd laid down wasn't waterproof. So it kind of, the water kind of seeped through the hard court surface that they'd put down. And it was on top of clay courts that they had there. So it all just turned into mush. And they had to move the doubles and the qualifying over to somewhere that was about 25 kilometers away. That was an absolute shambles. I would assume somewhere like Hamburg would have an indoor facility, but I couldn't swear to it. I'm not entirely sure.
If you do know, give us a little message here.
Yeah, let us know.
Bottom of this YouTube page or email us or tweet us or whatever you want to do. Let us know because might save us a few quid on the journey. We might not be able to get to see the tennis. So if you want to go to the website, 29 different markets. The spread is -2.5. Altmaier -2.5. Gasquet +2.5 +105. The total is 22.5. But Sean's official pick here is Gasquet plus to win a set at is it minus? We say minus
-143, 1.7.
-143. Gasquet to win a set. Now let's move across to another part of Europe, but with very, very different conditions. We're going to the beautiful Croatia. I had the option to go to Croatia this week or Hamburg, and I decided to go to Hamburg. Well, why didn't we?
I was supposed to be going to Umag as well, but I couldn't do it because Natasha couldn't get the time off work. So I had to go for Hamburg was my second choice as well, even though it's a much bigger event.
Why didn't we just decide to go to Croatia? We would have got lovely weather. We would have anyway. There's going to be a beautiful tournament going on in Croatia. There is a bit of thunderstorms later in the week, but tomorrow, Monday, the weather is absolutely perfect. It's not the greatest of fields here in Umag. It's an ATP Tour 250 event. Before we give you the outright market, Sean, give us a little bit about what the conditions will be like in the beautiful Croatia. It's clay again, red clay.
Yeah, it's one of the slowest of the season, Umag. 73% holds, 67% first serve points won. That suggests it's pretty slow. That puts it about the same sort of speed as Monte Carlo, which you were at earlier on in the season, weren't you? Which is on the stats the slowest of all clay court events. Only 27% of the matches feature a tiebreak on average. They usually start late in the afternoon because of the heat. They don't normally start till sort of about 5 p.m. local time. A bit of a party tournament there. There's all DJs and all sorts going on there.
Why don't you tell me this?
Sorry to tell you this, but you know. I didn't think that'd be your scene anyway, mate.
We'll be singing in the rain. The Weather Girls, it's raining then.
I think it's a bit more of a hip scene.
I'll always take the weather with you. That'll be played on the DJ.
They won't be playing that.
Oh, okay.
Slow conditions, as I say. Looking at the trends, only one top seed has even made the final here since Nikolai Davydenko won it in 2009. That was Alcaraz, and he lost to Yannick Sinner last year. So it's been a poor tournament for number one seeds. Has Umag. Qualifiers have got a great record here. Keep your eye on the qualifiers. 2 champions, 1 runner-up, and 4 semi-finalists from the last 8 editions. So that's a really strong trend for qualifiers going well. Italian players always go well here. We'll talk about that in a minute. It tends to be a tournament for the real sort of out-and-out clay quarters. Cecchinato's won here. Lajovic, Fognini, Pella's made the final. Paolo Lorenzi, and Andrej Martin, João Sousa. All these guys have gone well here over the years. But it's not a great field, as you said. There's only one top 40 player in it this year, and that's Jiri Lehecka.
And he is the tournament favourite and the number one seed at plus 650 with Bet Rivers. Then we have a whole host of players. Sorry, behind him we have Stanislav Wawrinka at 7-1. He's the number 6 seed in the bottom half of the draw. Then at 8-1 we have Dominic Thiem, Offner. We have Sonego. 10-1 Matteo Arnaldi. 14-1 Kobayashi Bena. 14-1 João Munar. And 16-1 Alberto Ramos Vinolas, who got injured today in the final against Kachin in the second set. Lost the set 6-love, fought back in the third, but was beaten by the Argentinian in Gustard. So maybe not even maybe a doubt about him coming across here. So as I say, it's not the most the dynamic draw, to say the least. And if you look at the draw, there's no real much of advantage in the top half and the bottom half. Probably slight favouring the top half, I would have thought, compared to the bottom half that has a few more established clay court performers. But you've broken it down, Sean. You've got an outright pick. Where are you heading this week in Umag?
Yeah, I've got a couple of outright picks here. One in the top half and one in the bottom half. In the top half, I've gone with Matteo Arnaldi, around about the 10-1 mark. As I sort of mentioned a few minutes ago, Italians do get an awful lot of support here in Umag. It's not far away at all. Nice part of the world to be in. A lot of Italians go over there and they do get very well supported. Italians have actually won it 3 times from the last 6 editions. So it's a strong trend there for the Italians. His stats this season are very good, better than pretty much anything in this top half of the draw, or at least equal. Service points won, return points won, total of 100. If you look at Jiri Lehecka, for example, he's only 7-6 win-loss this season on clay and on a 98 total, so he's not as good as Arnaldi. He's injured anyway, or was at Wimbledon, wasn't he, Lehecka? So he's not played since retiring against Medvedev at Wimbledon. The other high seed, I mean, we're looking at Sebastian Offner here as a number 3 seed in an ATP main level event, which is something I don't believe I've ever seen before. His stats are the same as Arnaldi's, but he's played an awful lot of tennis last week and the week before on clay, so he's potentially going to be a little bit leggy. Dominic Thiem, as I've said many times, this comeback, it's not happening. And even if it is, it's not likely to happen here. He's due to play Kitzbühel next week in his homeland. I can't imagine he's going to be putting in a massive shift here when he's got Kitzbühel next week. And you could say the same about Offner as well, who's also due to play Kitzbühel. Marin Cilic is here in the top half, but he's coming back from knee surgery. It's certainly a stretch to assume that he's going to win on clay after knee surgery, his first tournament back. And there's not a lot else in that top half that really worries me. So I've taken Arnaldi there. And I've got one in the bottom half as well.
So Arnaldi, Italian, number 7 seed. What price are we getting? 10-1?
10-1, yeah.
10-1. Is it a win-only bet or an each way?
I'll take him each way. So
each way, Arnaldi get half the odds to 1-2, so 5-1 to make the final, 10-1 to win the tournament. And hopefully his opponent in the final will be?
Fabian Marijan, hopefully. 20-1 shot. Many people would have seen him beat Carlos Alcaraz on the clay of Rome a few months ago. So you can't deny his talent, certainly. If you look at his stats, he plays mainly on the Challenger circuit at the minute. His stats this season, 19-6 win-loss on the clay, a 106 service points won, return points won total, and a 111 service hole break total in challenges this season. So very, very strong stats from Marijan on the clay. He was playing in the Challenger in Trieste up until today, actually, which is only 50 kilometers away. It's just 50 kilometers north, kind of around the corner from Umag. So very, very close for him there. He's only less than an hour away in a car. He was a set and a break up in the semi-finals, which was then delayed by rain. And they came back today and he lost, which suggests to me that he just thought, well, I'm due in Umag tomorrow. I haven't got time to hang around here. So he's come down to Umag slightly early. If you look at this bottom half of the draw, there's an awful lot of questions about the favourites. Lorenzo Sonego couldn't really complete his match last week against Albert Ramos. He had cramp. I watched that match. The last game, I think he was 30 love up in the final game of the match, and he just couldn't move after that. You can't get treatment for cramp, can you? It's not allowed. It's not a condition that you're allowed the trainer for. So he just hobbled on for 5 minutes. He couldn't serve. And Ramos just knocked it off and won very fortunately, you might say. And he had a finger injury in that match as well, Sonego. Roberto Carballes Baena is the other high seed. He retired last week injured in Gstaad against Wawrinka after a set and a bit. Albert Ramos, I cannot for the life of me see him fancying this. I'll go into more detail on that later about Ramos. So I think this is really wide open. I think there's a few. Shevchenko is a possibility as well. Correa is a possibility. But I've taken the potential on Marjan. I think he's decent price here.
So there you have two outright picks, one in the top half, Matteo Arnaldi at 10-1, and Marjan, the guy who famously beat Carlos Alcaraz is it Rome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Rome. Yeah. Has a huge dog, and he's available at what price is Marjan? 20-1. 20-1. So there are the two picks, both each way. Hopefully we can get a dream final in Umag where really, as Sean says, look at the qualifiers. I mean, the reasons to oppose Dominic Thiem, the reason to play Cilic, both of them are due to play qualifiers. So there could be a qualifier there who can come through in that section of the draw and do well as well. So look out for the qualifiers who go into that ATP Tour 250 event. Let's look at some matches. You've highlighted 3 matches here. The first one I really like. We've got Marc-Andre Huesler up against Federico Coria. Huesler is having a terrible run of form at the moment. He's lost his last 3 matches, beaten the first round of Gstaad, first round at Wimbledon, first round of Eastbourne. His record on clay this year is dreadful. Only won 3 of the 11 matches he's played. He plays Coria, who is a much more proven clay court. So reached the quarterfinals in Bastard, and he is the head-to-head here as well. So he favours Coria as well. He leads 1-0 on the head-to-head. The price on the match here is Coria is -139. Huesler is +112. The spread is 1.5, -1.5 for Coria, -112. Huesler is -114, receiving 1.5, and the total in this match is 22.5. I like the Argentinian here to win this. I know he's -139, and it's very rare that you put up a minus money favourite here, and you're nodding your head in approval, I hope.
Yeah, I am. It's not that I don't like odds-on shots. If they're value odds-on shots, then I like them. Most of the time, they're not particular value. But I took 1.84 about Coria earlier on. I'm not sure what he is now in decimal. Probably about 1.8 or so. Is it something like that?
Yep.
Let's just have a look at this header. I mean, it's 1-0 to Coria, as you said. That was played on clay at slight altitude, which you would have thought would favour Huesler at the Salzburg Challenger a couple of years ago. Coria was a 1.6 favourite that day and won. Now he's 1.8 or 1.84 that I got in much slower conditions, where you would think that Coria would be more likely to win. Yet he's a bigger price than he was 2 years ago. I'm not sure what the reasoning for that is, to be honest. It can't be Huesler's great form because, as you said, he's not in great form. He's lost 16 of his last 20 main level matches, so you can't get much worse form than that. His clay stats on the last 12 months at main level, he's 1-7 win-loss. That's a 13% win rate, and his service points, 1 return points, 1 total is 98. Coria, not fabulous, but much better. 7-6 win-loss, 54% win rate, and a 101 total. So better clay stats for Coria. He's won the head-to-head in at altitude, which you might say would favour Huesler. This is much slower. The sort of conditions that Coria likes. Another factor here is that Huesler is another one who's probably going to be playing Kitzbühel last week. He's, at the time that we're talking now, he's currently first alternate for Kitzbühel next week. So the next time someone drops out, which I'm sure they will in the next 7 days or so, he'll get directly into the main draw. He might well get a wild card anyway, but the reality is he's much more likely to fancy playing in Kitzbühel and slugging it out with these real out-and-out clay dogs in the heat of Umag. So happy to take Coria at that price. Simple as that.
Yeah, I like that bet a lot. What a fantastic price you took earlier.
Yeah, I don't hang about.
Unfortunately, I never saw that. I obviously didn't get the WhatsApp or the text message when you saw that price, because I was out grafting. I didn't see. How can you find these bets when you're in a basketball tournament? I was just about to say.
Multitasking. That's what it is.
You're supposed to be cheering on your kid and you're on the phone finding the value in the Umag.
as I said, multitasking. I can do more than one thing at once.
Well, I wouldn't shout.
Not very well, not
no.
successfully, but I can
Don't
do more
let
than one thing.
Mrs. Calvert know you can do that because you'll be doing all kinds of stuff. So keep that very much to yourself. She
doesn't watch this show anyway. It's fine.
Why not? I thought
know anything about tennis.
Well, I thought the Calvert family would be very high on the older downloads to get us quite high up.
Nah, Lagan loves YouTube, but he doesn't like me on YouTube. He's only into all the kid stuff.
Exactly. Next match we're going to talk about is an all-Spanish affair, and I expect these lines to change because what happened today, João Munar is minus 175 against Albert Ramos, who's plus 138. The spread here is 2.5, with Munar giving up 2.5. Ramos Vinolas plus 2.5, and the total is 21.5. I have real doubts whether Ramos Vinolas will make it here this week because I actually watched the final this morning against Kachin, and I actually bet Kachin to win the tournament because we bet him to beat Bautista Agut, wasn't it, last week?
Yeah.
And I thought if he gets through this, he can open it up a little bit. And I just had a very small bet, 14-1. He won the tournament. I bet him today in play when he went a set down at it was his breakdown. He was plus 125. But he was injured in that second set. He didn't look well. He lost the second set 6-love. He fought back in the third, but he used a lot of energy. And at his age, I just thought to myself, he's definitely someone to fade next time they play. And this is the match.
Yeah, again, I took a prize that probably isn't there anymore. I took slight odds against, actually, earlier on today about Munar winning this minus 2.5 games. I think it's a 1.88 chance now.
Seems lower than that. It's minus 134.
Okay, what's that in English? UK decimal?
Around about 1.72.
Okay, so that's been knocked a little bit then in that case. Let's kind of go into the reasoning. You've kind of mentioned it there, really. Ramos, he was always going to be fatigued after Gestard, whether he won or lost. 35 years of age. We know Ramos plays a lot better at altitude. The reason I didn't really consider him as a likely winner of Gestard was just because he's not shown any form at all this season. It felt like he was kind of going to the end of his career. If you look at his record in Gestard, 12-2 win-loss and a 106 service points, 1 return points, 1 tell, a whole break total of 114. Look at Emin Umag, 5-5 win-loss, and his total is 99, and his whole break is 102. So much inferior stats for Ramos in Umag than Gestard. Another factor is he's also entered for Kitzbühel next week, Ramos, where again it's altitude. He's previously made the final and the semi-final there in his last 3 visits. He had blisters on his foot, I think, didn't he, in that Gestard final? Mm-hmm. And now he's playing Munar. I know he's got a great head-to-head against Munar, 5-0, but they've not met since 2020 on a hard court. And Munar, he's going to make you play, a very, very physical match. I'm just not sure Ramos can cope with that. So I went for the minus 2.5 games on Munar.
There you have it. They're the 2 bets we have in Umag on the match bets there. And our final tournament is stateside in Atlanta, where the conditions are beautiful. We could have gone there. It's very, very hot.
It's a long old way, that is.
It's a long old way, but it's in Atlanta. It's dominated by the Americans. The tournament is dominated by Americans. In the last 12 years, 9 US players, 9 times it's been won by an American player, 3 times by an Australian. But one man who dominates it is John Isner. This is John Isner's tournament. He's won it 6 times. I'm guessing with John Isner's record, this is a very, very fast hardcourt tournament here. The market is dominated by big serving Americans, Fritz, Shelton. It's got to be a fast court, isn't it, Sean? This one with the list of previous winners we have here.
Yeah, 285 meters of altitude here, not massive, but enough. The balls do fly in the heat and humidity. It's normally very, very hot and humid here. Averages 84% holds, 76% first serve points. One makes it the 5th quickest conditions of the season and the quickest in the US. An average of 45% of the matches feature a tiebreaker, so very quick conditions. Yeah.
Number 1 seed is Taylor Fritz, who's not in the greatest of form. He's the tournament favourite, plus 330. Then we have Christopher Eubanks. We have Alex de Minaur, who won this tournament. He's won this twice. Won it in 2022 and 2019. He's a number 2 seed. He's plus 450. Christopher Eubanks. Really, how can Christopher Eubanks be 5-1 to win this tournament? I know he had
All
a
the
brilliant.
pressure's on him now. It's his home tournament, isn't it?
Well, he might be at what? It's his home tour. He might be 5-1. I mean,
I know.
come on, it's
ridiculous.
Ridiculous price. John Isner has won it so many times. He's 12. He's going to be a very, very popular bet. Ben Shelton at 16-1. He's a collision course against Taylor Fritz. Dan Evans can't win a match at the moment. He's 16-1. The Brit Nakashima 16-1. Ugo Ember also 16-1. What do you like on the outright here, Sean?
In top half, I've got two actually. Top half,
Okay.
I've taken Jeff Wolf 25-1. Really like his draw. His aggressive game should suit Atlanta. I'm just looking at the draw now. Actually, he's got a qualifier first up. I hope that's not Lloyd Harris because he could go well here, Harris, as a qualifier, but we don't know who it's going to be yet, which is always a bit of a difficult thing for us to do when we've got Wolf versus qualifier. We don't know who that's going to be. Then he would play either a fatigued Mickelson, who's gone deep the last 2 weeks, or an out of form Cressy, and then he might get Dan Evans or potentially the fading John Isner, who I'm not sure he's got that much left anymore. I'm not sure he can win another title here. So I've taken Wolf 25-1 in the top half. In the bottom half, I think this is quite open. I think I quite like the draw. I really like the draw for Brandon Nakashima, former finalist here. He hasn't shown much this season with injuries. Form's not been great, but he's too good a player to stay in the doldrums for long. And as I say, he's a former finalist here. 6-2 win-loss record he has here, Nakashima. So the draw, as I said, he's playing Purcell. Really should be beating Purcell. Then he might get Eubanks. He's gone well against big servers. Nakashima redirects their pace pretty well, so I'd be confident in that one. Nishioka would potentially be another guy who's got to play, but he needs matches. He's struggling at the minute, injuries. And then you've got de Minaur, and Nakashima beat de Minaur in their only career meeting. So there's a path there that I can see for Nakashima. So I'm happy to take him each way at 16s.
Nakashima 16-1 and Wolf at 20 or 25. Did you say that?
25 is Wolf.
25. Just be careful who he gets in the qualification. But he is a number 8 seed. Wolf. He's in the top half with Taylor Fritz, Ben Shelton, and JJ Wolf and John Isner. Obviously, a very dangerous floater there. One match you've highlighted for us, and it's an interesting one indeed. You've got Kokkinakis, the big serving Aussie. He's -152 against Gael Monfils, who's been given a wild card here. He's got to perform at home on a tennis court after what his partner did. Svitolina has been doing on the women's tour. So it's up to Gael now to go and earn some money for the household. You've got a big favourite in this one. You've got Kokkinakis -152. As I said, Gael Monfils +123. The spread here is 1.5 -120. Kokkinakis given up 1.5. Gael Monfils is +1.5 at -107, and the total is 22.5. 28 different bets on this match available on the Bet Rivers website, and Sean Calvert has found one that he likes. What's that bet?
I think you have to take a chance on Monfils if you're in an adventurous mood. It's not for the faint-hearted, as we know with Gael Monfils, anything is possible. But Kokkinakis, I'm not sure I can have him as favourite here. I mean, I know Monfils has been out injured, for a long time. He's been playing in this Patrick Mouratoglou exhibition series in LA, hasn't he, over the last few days? With who else has been playing there? TFO,
Shelton, TFO,
Shelton, Yibing Wu's been playing there as well. Kyrgios has been coaching TFO, hasn't he? That hasn't gone too well. I think TFO lost his first few matches, so Coach Kyrgios might be getting the bullet there, unfortunately. Kokkinakis played only on Friday at the Granby Challenger, retired with a wrist injury against a very lowly ranked opponent. Prior to that, did absolutely nothing on the grass swing. This time last year, he put in an absolutely shocking effort as a -667. That's 1.15 favourite against Andres Martin, lost in straight sets. And then to compound it, he went and won the doubles with Nick Kyrgios. So this isn't a tournament that he's really put the effort in singles. This is definitely one that Monfils can win if he's fit, which you presume he is. He's playing that in that exhibition series. He beat Kokkinakis pretty easy as a 1.5 favourite in Adelaide, January 2022. So if you are in an adventurous mood, Monfils at plus money, I think he's a decent proposition there.
So we're going to go for Gael Monfils, the male, Gael Monfils.
Yeah, him.
So win his match against Kokkinakis. You never usually get plus money about someone whose opponent pulled out injured in his last match. So that's it. It's a very, very busy week of tennis action. Hopefully the Hamburg tournament does get some play into it. You'll be able to follow everything on the Bet Rivers website. As I say, if you miss one of the matches, You'll be able to live stream it, so you'll be able to watch it. If you can't watch it from out and about on the television, you can watch it from your tablet or your computer or wherever you want, your mobile phone. Just to let you know, the European matches do start very early, so around about 5 a.m. Eastern time. Some of these matches started, with the action in Atlanta around about 11 a.m. Eastern time. You've got the outright markets. You've got the best bets on the first round matches, 4 first round bets for you there as well. There's 4 ways to follow us, and a new way to follow us. We have a brand new YouTube channel, so make sure you follow it. We've broken away from the traditional content on the Bet Rivers Network, and we now have our very own one. It's the Betting Weekly, a YouTube show, which you can follow at Because We Win. And that is our handle across everything. That's our handle on Twitter. That's our handle on Instagram. You can download our podcast here on your preferred podcast provider by searching Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. But our YouTube channel now is at Because We Win. Follow that. You'll get an alert. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and you'll get all the content from me and Sean Calvert singing in the rain with our umbrellas in Hamburg, eating Frankfurters. That has been a Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Sean, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll be in Germany. Auf Wiedersehen.